अरविंद क्या पढ़ रहे हो?
I'm reading this book on the defense of the region. It's an authorized biography of MI5.
British intelligence.
Yeah, British intelligence.
Do you know the importance of this book?
Well, I'm going through it. It is really, there's a lot of things inside which throws new light.
I'll tell you a story. You know when you might have heard. I did when I was growing up. We heard when I was a child. I grew up in New Delhi area. We used to hear this story about India becoming free in 1947 was actually transfer of power, which we now call Independence Day. It was actually transfer of power, and we would get to hear these stories on and on again, that there were some secret hidden clauses or protocols linked to the transfer of power. And one protocol in particular get a lot of traction would get a lot of traction and would continue to do so for many years. That one of the protocols concerns Subhash Chandra Bose, Netaji, that if he was if he were to return to India, he would be handed over to the British or tried for war crimes, etc. So these were the conspiracy theories we were getting to hear. I heard them a lot when I was growing up, and they were very common. In fact, even today they're very common. People talk about them often on the social media. Now, the importance of this book, which you have...
This is, first of all, you have to understand this is authorized history.
Yeah, I'll come to it. You have a fantastic question book, but this is a very good book. That's why
a lot of times people argue, people not knowingly argue, people not knowingly say things,
Yeah.
Even when we say India was independent 15th of August, actually it was not independent. India was only had a transfer of power.
So there the importance of this book, which you're reading, and what it says, in the context of what I've just said, is like this. Now, what has happened, after 9/11 in America, it started with America actually, because the first part of the story is that we all of us, you and me, and everybody heard these claims about there being a secret protocol in the transfer of power. Now, these were widely discussed. These matters were discussed widely, reported in media, even mainstream. Government of India never responded to them. They still do not respond to these allegations wherever they are made. A great change happened in 9/11. After 9/11, the American CIA suffered a humiliating defeat per se. That they were not able to share intelligence with the FBI, and as a result, the 9/11 happened. So CIA came under a lot of flack. They faced a lot of criticism. After a while, they realized that to criticize the intelligence agencies of their own country, it was not in the national interest of America, because if you keep criticizing CIA, the problem with the CIA was that they were getting negative press for their failures, but their positive things, their successes were not highlighted because they were all classified secret information. So I believe, this is my limited knowledge, that the Americans started making efforts to portray CIA in good light. So they made movies about it, books came out. That pattern was followed by, again to my limited knowledge, by the British, and now it's being followed by India also, by the way. We are also selectively, you've seen a lot of books have come about raw and movies. That is an endeavor to show them in good light. Let's not talk about only their failures, but also talk about their successes in past. Now, with regard to this particular book which you are holding right now, the story is the British wanted to show themselves, and of course they talk about the positive things of their their country and the intelligence organizations. The MI5 thought of, as you said, to come out with an authorized history of MI5, British intelligence, so that they can tell people in England, outside the world, the good things they have done for their country. So this is the reason behind this book was authorized by the British intelligence.
Not only the good things, also the secret things were there.
So what they did was, they hired this gentleman. He is Professor Christopher Andrews, a very well-known professor of security, intelligence, and etc. Oxford University. He was given oath of secrecy, and then this gentleman, of course, I wonder if they have his photograph here. Yes, his photograph here. So he was, given oath of secrecy, and he was then, shown documents of the MI5, British intelligence, and on the basis of the information provided by the MI5, he wrote this authorized history of the MI5, which is a bestseller in England, and you also have a copy. Now here, what is relevant is this particular page.
It's a page 442, 42 and 43.
And 43. This is about the end of the empire in India. Now I would like you to read that relevant passage which you were telling me, but before that, what this does, this confirms what we were hearing all our lives, but our government never told us about this.
Our government never acknowledged, rather.
Can you just read on what it
It
says?
says here, the last Viceroy, Lord Mountbatten, was asked to stay as Governor General, and the framework of the civil service of the British Raj was largely preserved in independent India. What was not made public,
What
however,
was not made public?
that's very important word here.
What was not made public?
However, was that during a visit to India in March 1947, the DDG, Guy
Liddell was the Director General of Intelligence of
Yes.
British Intelligence.
obtained the agreement.
Deputy Director General, he was number 2.
He obtained the agreement of the government of Jawaharlal Nehru for an MI5 security liaison officer, which is also called SLO, to be stationed in New Delhi after the end of the British rule. Though the first SLO, Lieutenant Colonel Kenneth Brown, had served in India with the intelligence corps during the war, stayed for only 6 months. He set an important precedent for the subsequent history of British decolonization in all other newly independent Commonwealth countries. As in India, the continued presence of an SLO became a significant thought, usually undisclosed, though usually undisclosed, part of the transfer of power. Here it clearly says transfer of power. They never says independence.
Though undisclosed.
Yes.
That means secret.
Here is MI5.
Yeah, so that is so. So the MI5 has officially confirmed when there was the transfer of power in 1947. There was some kind of a undisclosed agreement, about transfer of power, which because it relates to them, so they have made it public today in the authorized.
Now, interesting parts also see for almost a quarter of a century, relations between the security service and its Indian counterpart, the Delhi Intelligence Branch, or which is called DIB or IB, were closer and more confident than those between any other departments of the British and the Indian government.
That's absolutely correct. What happened in when this was set up, the SLO became the super boss of the IB, and IB became a mistress which served two masters.
Exactly.
Because thanks to Chacha Nehru. So IB was reporting to them, and they kept on reporting to London through this SLO until 1968. We were never told this thing by our parliament. We were never told by our government about this. So this was kept top secret. It is still top secret. I filed, as you said, RTI asking the IB about it. They said we are not covered by the IB.
Anuj, one more
So
thing.
which means to say that it now stands proven that in the transfer of power there were secret clauses, because here's the testimony coming from the MI5.
Directly from MI5.
The MI5
This is an autobiography. It's a biography.
authorized by,
I want to ask you one more question regarding. I know you have filed a couple of RTI with the government of India which they refused to disclose. There was also an article. You have seen a letter which is Jawaharlal Nehru writing to the British government asking for permission to have Rajagopal Acharya as the next governor
So
general.
because that only proves
why
that he was because India was still not a free country. But right now
was it India not a free country, or it was just a transfer of power?
it was transfer of power. We were a dominion.
not a free country.
That's a different matter. Of course, we were a dominion. We can make a separate video on it. But
So there was not only related to security, there was also related to many other things. There was a secret.
No, but the important of this book and the passages you just read out is that now we have a confirmation coming from the MI5 that there were secret clauses, there were secret protocols, and part of the secret clause we never knew. The SLO was sitting here and our IB was reporting to them. Now this is something which they should have told us long ago. We did not. That means you have done something wrong.
Absolutely.
And why did you not tell the people of this country? Why do we still do not know about the SLO? Why will you report? And in fact, we found an interesting thing. Some of information concerning Netaji were transferred to SLO by the IB after independence.
That's true.
So that is true. That is information on record now.
Think this is
We have on record information showing that the IB was sharing intelligence concerning Netaji with the MI5 after independence. So which means what you and I heard when we were growing up was probably true.
True.
So because उनकी अगर एक चोरी पकड़ी गई है तो इन सालों ने कम से कम 50 चोरियां और की होगी. This clause of the protocol, secret undisclosed clause of the transfer of power, which relates to the MI5, has been made public by the MI5. So there could be some more hidden clause now.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Absolutely.
There will be more. So for all we know, we have more hidden clauses. This is the most interesting part, and that's where the importance of this book lies. And you have in your collection of books, this is one of the most fantastic books.
This is absolutely.
I'm thankful that you were able to share this book with me. I have read this book, but I unfortunately did not keep a copy. It's too costly for me to maintain.
Not only this one. There's the one I showed it to you, which was published in Lahore, Anarkali Publishers, regarding this INS. There's very few surviving copies in the whole world. That one.
True, but this is priceless. This is because this is the official authorized history of the MI5 by MI5, and it exposes that we did have something hanky-panky with regard to transfer power in India.